Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Mrutavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayiniim Ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshiniim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna vidusura suraganaha devaya tasmai namaha. Verse number 19. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanti na hanyate. So here Lord Krishna reveals a most fundamental characteristic of ourselves, and self happens to be one. Myself is no different from yourself. In some ways, I am different from you, no doubt about that. My body is different from your body. My mind is different from your mind. But the self that I am is no different from the self that you are. Like one sun getting reflected into many pools of water or many buckets of water. The buckets are all different from each other. Water is different from each other. The reflection is different from each other, but the sun that is reflected is one. And so also this bucket or body, the water which is mind, they are all different. But the self, the consciousness, Atma or Brahman, that manifests, that gets reflected, is one. And therefore knowing one is knowing everything. This is the whole idea. For knowing everything, fortunately, we do not need to know many things. You just need to know one thing. Because what is one thing that I am is the thing that you are. So Lord Krishna uses a singular here. Nayam hanti na hanyate. This one, this self, nahanti, does not kill, nahanyate, does not get killed. We discussed all of this elaborately during the last sessions. But basically, in the context of Arjuna, this is said here. Atma or the self. What is self? What Arjuna truly is. Lord Krishna uses the word Atma or the self. Here I am, this pronoun, this one that is evident, refers to what Arjuna truly is. Not what Arjuna thinks he is, what Arjuna truly is. Not what we may think we are, what we truly are. That is why the whole thing here, the whole problem only arises from this, that we take ourselves to be quite different from what we truly are. It is from that perception of ourselves, a notion of ourselves as to who we think we are, that arises all the difficulties or problems in our life, which we have said a number of times. The only reason for any conflict or sorrow in our life is simply our perception of ourselves, a false perception of ourselves, false opinion of ourselves, false judgment about ourselves, false knowledge of ourselves is the basis of all my emotional problems in life. Because I am as good as what my conviction is. Yoya Shraddha Seva Saha, Lord Krishna says that human being is what his Shraddha is, what his conviction is. And what's the basic conviction? The basic conviction is who am I or who I am. So whatever my conviction is about myself as to who I am, that becomes the basis of all other convictions also. As to who you are also ultimately is determined by me based on what I determine myself to be and what the world is, what God is, what my goal is, what my path is, what my priorities are, what my values are, what attitudes, everything is decided by from this basic conviction, who I am. It's a very powerful thing. That's what Vedanta addresses. So this is where, that's the source of the problem. If you take care of that, no problem will remain. Meaning that if I develop the right conviction about myself, nothing else needs to be done. Then I discover that I am fine as I am, that you are fine as you are, the world is fine as it is, everything is fine as it is, Purnameva avashishyate, what is wonderful. Right now everything is miserable. That's one view is, Swami, there's conflict everywhere, violence everywhere, misery everywhere. That's our conclusion, arising from our conclusion about ourselves. All conclusions about life and others, all of these are ultimately derived from our conclusion about ourselves. Therefore, Lord Krishna is addressing that. What is my conclusion? Referring to Arjuna. What is his conclusion? That I will be the killer of these people. They're all Bhishma, Drona, all these others, and my near and dear ones were all killed by me. Katham Bhishmaham Sankhye Dronanch Madhusudana Ishabhi. How can I kill them, O Lord? Then I'll be killer. That creates a tremendous sense of guilt on the part of Arjuna. I'm a big sinner. One part of the problem. Second part is that they will be killed. So first part I should say they will be killed and I will be the killer. These two conclusions are there. Who is the Bhishma will be killed. And who am I? I will be the killer. That's simple, isn't it? That's right, Swami. What's wrong with that? When Arjuna shoots an arrow at somebody and that person gets killed, he's killed and this fellow is a killer. What's wrong with that? There is one kind of a perception. Depends upon who Arjuna thinks he is and who is the one who is killed. That's why Lord Krishna says, something gets killed, no doubt. Something kills also, let us say. Something kills and something is killed, but not what you think doesn't kill. What you think is not killed also. In Bhishma also something gets killed, but not what you think. Bhishma, which is self, which is Satchidananda, which is consciousness, doesn't get killed. And you, who are the self, is Satchidananda, doesn't kill. Meaning that Atma doesn't kill. Is not the agent of the act of killing. There is no kartrutva, there is no doership in the self. Nor does Atma become the object of somebody's action. So killing is an action. One who is killed is the object of the action of killing. Atma does not become the object of any action also. It is Anatma that kills, Anatma that is killed, but not Atma. So Lord Krishna wants to distinguish between the Atma and Anatma. This is the Atma Anatma Viveka. Action does take place. As you know, action takes place at the level of body. It's the body that does things. It is the mind that does things. It is the intellect that does things, no doubt. Because they alone have the qualification of doing something. To do something, a change is required. When my hand moves, for example, from one location to another, some change has to happen. So action presupposes change. There cannot be action if there is no change. The body should change, then action can take place. The mind should change for action to take place. The intellect should change for action to take place. The ego should change for action to take place. But that which is changeless, which cannot change naturally, cannot perform action. So also being killed, also being an object of action also requires change. Who can become the object of action? That which is subject to change. Again, Atma does not change, therefore self cannot become the object of action. Body, yes, you can target the body with your action. You can target the mind with action. You can target the intellect with your action. You cannot target Atma with your action. Even if you target, action is no reach there. And we explained a very simple example of an actor playing the role of a beggar. That yes, somebody insulted this fellow. During the play, this person is insulted. He is insulted and still not insulted. The spectator thinks that he is insulted. He knows that I am not insulted because he has a different notion of his identity. I am not a beggar, I am actor. Meaning that all that is done to the beggar, all of them only, they only affect simply the superficial costume of the beggar, the role of the beggar. Anything that is done to the beggar in the play does not in any way affect the actor. Is it not so? He doesn't feel insulted, hopefully. Although he shows he is insulted, he cries out of helplessness. Tears are rolling from his eyes. And still, from his own standpoint, he is not insulted, he is not affected. Is it not so? Only then it can be called acting, otherwise not acting. It's becoming. There's no becoming there. And when he insults somebody, or when he begs before somebody helplessly, then he's crying. He's not crying. All the begging, etc., all the action is at the level of the costume, not the level of the actor. Here also, the costume does everything. What's the costume? This body, mind, sense complex. That is what performs all actions. Who becomes the object of actions when you insult? What does get insulted? My ego can get insulted. When you hurt, the body can get hurt. When you taunt, my emotion can get. Yes. But none of these things ever touches Atma because all of these are level of costume only, the body, mind, sense complex. And so Atma neither does anything nor becomes an object of any action also. Just contemplate upon this fact. This is, if we see this, then we have seen everything. There's no complex left at all. I'm not doing anything. So who does? As we explained last time, it is in presence of Atma that everything gets done. The intellect gets enlivened, the mind gets enlivened, the body gets enlivened, and they do things. So action also takes place at the level of body, mind, sense complex as enlivened in the presence of Atma. And the object of the action also is nothing but that body, mind, sense complex. Nayamanti nahanyate. Arjuna, Atma does not kill, nor does it get killed. So if you are concerned about the death of Bhishma and Drona, that they will be killed, they will die, and what will I do without Bhishma and Drona? If that's your concern, understand that they don't die. And secondly, I'll become their killer, I'll be a sinner. The sense of guilt is there. You don't kill also. Arjuna does not kill and Bhishma does not die. Only Vedanta can say this. On the face of all killing taking place, Arjuna is doing this and says you don't do it. And Bhishma is dying, so he doesn't die. So something does, but not Atma. Something dies, but not Atma. The bulb fuses, not electricity, understand. The power goes away, so we think there is no electricity, but then it's bulb that is fusing. Electricity does not fuse, doesn't die. The fan that turns, electricity does not turn, electricity doesn't do any act of turning, nor does it die when the bulb fuses. So also, this is what Lord Krishna is teaching about the true nature of the self. As I said, wrong conviction about which, wrong perception of which only brings about all the problems. If we examine any kind of emotional problem that we have, so I feel helpless, I feel suppressed, I feel exploited, I feel hurt. All of these do take place at a certain level, the level of ego, but not Atma, in presence of which all this takes place. I'm not the ego, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the mind, I'm the self. If I realize that, if that becomes my perception, then do what you want to do. Like, to the actor, it doesn't matter how he is treated. Let them insult. He doesn't mind begging. He doesn't mind appearing as a helpless creature. Doesn't mind because he doesn't really become that. The next verse explains, why do you say that Atma does not kill? By killing here stands for any action, by the way. Killing is also only with reference to Arjuna's situation where killing and being killed are the issues. But when it is said Atma does not kill, meaning Atma does not perform any action. There is no kartrutva, the doership in Atma. When Atma is not killed, meaning that Atma does not become victim of any action, there is no bhoktrutva or the experiencership of the Atma. Atma is neither doer nor experiencer. Why is it so? So Lord Krishna in the next verse, Kathamyo akriya Atma iti. So this mantra also is quoted from Kathopanishad with some changes. Next mantra also is quoted from Kathopanishad with some changes. So what's the reason why you say that Atma does not perform an act of killing, nor does it become an object of the act of killing? Why? So next verse is, न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Lord Krishna says, न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित्. कदाचित् न जायते, कदाचित् न म्रियते. कदाचित्, ever. न कदाचित्, never. न कदाचित् जायते, Atma is never born. न कदाचित् म्रियते, Atma never dies. This is called pratigna. In the language of the tarka, reasoning, this is called pratigna, proposition. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित्. Kadachit, ever. Never is Atma born, never does the Atma die. How do you say that? The Lord Krishna says next in the same one, Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah. So why do you say Atma is not born? Atma is not, what is called birth? What is called, who is born? One that did not exist earlier. One who did not exist earlier and who now comes into existence is called born. What is birth? Birth is coming into existence of something that did not exist earlier. A child is born because before the birth, this child did not exist in this world and now it has come into existence. So, birth presupposes a previous non-existence. That something was not there and now it has come into being, then that is called the birth. So Lord Krishna says, this does not apply to Atma, does not apply to the self. Nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuyah. Again, kadachit applies everywhere. Na kadachit, never. Abhutva bhuyah bhavita. Abhutva, not being there. Bhutva being there, abhutva not being there. Again, bhavita, coming into being. It is not that, it never was that Atma abhutva, that Atma was not there and came into being, so that does not apply. It never was a time that Atma was not. And therefore, not being there and then coming into being, called birth, that does not apply to Atma. But every day we see birth happening. Millions of people are born every day. Something is born, but not what you think is born. The body is born, certainly. The body did not exist before and now come to existence. But then what we do is we just habitually equate the birth of the body with the birth of Atma, birth of the self, and that he is born, Atma is born. So that is why Lord Krishna says there are two entities here. Something is born and something is not born. Anatma is born, the body is born, is like the costume. But then Atma that puts on the costume of the body, there is no birth for the Atma, no birth for the self. It ever is. It always was. Since it always was, therefore, the question of its not being there and coming into being is not there. Nayam bhutva bhavitavan bhuyah yo abhutva bhavati. One not being there comes into existence, is said to be born. Atma is not born because it is always there. Because to be is the nature of Atma. To be is the nature of the self, therefore it cannot be that it is not. All right. Atma is never born. But it will die certainly, is it not? So it's the same thing, you turn around. Kadachit bhuyah, so bhutva na bhavita. What is called death? Something that exists and then does not exist later on is called death. So that pot is right. So pot is easy to say. That pot is born because there was a time when the pot was not, and pot came into being. That's the birth of the pot. There will be death of the pot also. Pot is, a time will come when pot will not be. That's called the death of the pot. Again, that does not apply to Atma. That Atma is now all right, but what if it will not be? It will never be that it will not be, because to be is its nature. So that's the reason. So Atma is not born. Why? Because it is not that it did not exist before and now it exists. Then that will be birth. Atma does not die. Why? Because it's not that it exists now and will not exist later. So conditions of the birth and death do not apply to Atma. So this is called hetu. Reasoning is given. Na jayate pratigna, proposition. Na mriyate, proposition. What's the reason? Nayam bhutva bhavitavan abhutva bhuyah bhavita na. And bhutva bhuyah na abhavita na. Don't get confused, but all it means is that birth and death, they do not apply to the self. In presence of self, the birth and death takes place. This pot was born, Even when pot was born, something was not born. When the pot was born, something still was not born. What was that? Something was not. What was not born? Clay. Because what is the criterion of birth? Something that is not there now and comes to being later, that applies to the pot. The name and form it applies to. As far as clay is concerned, the clay existed and exists now also. Therefore, there is no birth of clay. Pot will die also. What is death? It exists now. And when it breaks to pieces, it will not exist later. That is called the destruction of the pot or death of the pot. But even when the pot suffers destruction, what about clay? Clay remains ever the same. And therefore, see, birth and death are taking place and not taking place simultaneously. Here in this object, at one level, the birth and death are taking place. At the level of name and form, at the level of costume, the clay puts on the costume of a name and form and appears before us as a pot. It puts on another name and another costume and comes before us as a vase. And comes here, you know. Clay puts on different costumes. It is the joy, pleasure of clay to appear in different costumes, and it's true. In this form, clay did not exist, so this form came into being. A time will come when this form will not exist. In that form, clay will not be. But the clay as such ever was, clay as such ever will be. Understand that the substance is not born. In this, what is substance? Clay is a substance. What is this? This is a treasure. You know, for people, children, I guess, put a penny in here, some coins, and then save. But from here he sees, you know, what collection is there. He gets satisfaction. The level is growing. Every night he must be, you know, perhaps shaking also. From the sound he knows now how many pennies are there. And taking that satisfaction. Yes, this form is born and the form will die. Substance is not born, substance does not die. Atma also assumes a form. The form is born, the form will die. Substance that this is what consciousness, Asti Bhati Priyam, Satchid Ananda, that only assumes this form. Form is born, form dies. Substance is not born, substance does not die. What is important? Is substance important or form important? To some people, form is important. Hey, this is important. You can't store money in clay, you require this form. You can't fill water in clay, you require this form to fill water. So this clay, this pot also is real because it is useful. Vedanta says, no, that's an emotional way of looking at the pot. Usefulness does not establish as reality. What is the indestructible substance in this? That alone is real. And that alone counts. The form doesn't count. That is very, Swami, that looks like very cruel. That means there's no feeling at all. The form alone generates, the clay does not generate any feeling, really, that's true. The form generates feeling, you know, how beautiful it is, how this is, how that is. So Vedantis have no sense, no sentiment at all, no feelings at all. Only relate to clay. No usefulness. But then Vedantin says that no, it's not that you relate to pot, but then when you relate to pot, you keep in mind that the substance of the pot is clay. And then you respect the pot for what it is, you respect the name and form, but don't lose sight of the fact that substance is clay. Then you respect it properly. Otherwise, if form alone is everything, then it is overvalued, which it doesn't have. And therefore, we should know that the form is something incidental, comes and goes. It has some usefulness, is incidental, is not permanent, not eternal. It is the clay, the substance that is permanent, that is eternal, and that's what really counts. I mean, this part is okay, but suppose you come to other thing here, Vinaravi. See, now we are well equipped. This is the chain. Yeah, somebody will have to do this part. But what fetches money here is not the form, isn't it? Of course, when you go to the goldsmith, then you have to pay a lot of money. When he transforms the gold into this form, when you go back to him to sell this, is he going to give you any money for this? No. He just put this on his weighing balance and then says this is so many grams and gives. So what substance is all that counts really? Anyway, that discussion will read, for some other texts and other things. But the point is, this is what Lord Krishna is pointing out, that not that names and forms don't exist, not that the form does not count. The form gets proper place in our life, provided we take into account the substance also. That's the whole thing. The chain is not just a form, it is gold in a given form. It's not golden chain in Swamiji's words. It's not golden chain, but that gives the idea that chain is the real stuff, is substantive and gold is an adjective. No, it's chainy gold. That's what we should say. Gold that comes in the form of chain, then you know that gold is a substance. Similarly, it is not that the body is conscious. It's conscious. Yes, Swami Vivekananda used to say that I'm not the body having consciousness, I'm consciousness having a body. Just that makes a lot of difference. I'm body having consciousness. That means I'm mortal, but I'm consciousness having a body. Body comes and goes. Consciousness ever was, is, will ever be. Now my own estimate of myself changes completely, is it not so? My perception changes. That's what Lord Krishna wants us to see. Arjuna, you are not the body with consciousness, you are consciousness with the body. And so, the consciousness is not born, doesn't die. And therefore, what's the result? Next line, ajo nitya na jayate. Atma is not born, it's called pratigna. Why is it so? Because abhutva bhuyah bhavita na iti. That it's not that it did not exist and comes to existence now. Therefore, ajaha. The conclusion, ajaha. Next line. Looks like he's saying the same thing. What is Swami? Lord Krishna is repeating himself or what? But in terms of the logical presentation, first comes pratigna, then comes hetu, and then iti siddham, then ajaha. So it's upasamhara. Similarly, na mriyate. Atma does not die because bhutva kadachit bhuyayitina. He was there and now it is not there, therefore it does not die, therefore it is nitya, avinashi, indestructible, deathless. So basically, birth and death are denied in case of the self. In fact, you don't even deny two things. You deny birth, then everything is denied. Where is the death without birth? So many things need not have been said, but yet it's being told to us. And Einstein need not be told all this stuff, Shankaracharya need not be told. We need to be told, because he's not born. What about if he dies? How can he die when he's not born? But okay, it doesn't die also. Okay, it is not born, Atma does not die, but it grows old. And then it slowly decays. Says, no. Shashvatoyam purana. Ayam shashvata. Ayam purana. So, shashvata. Shashvat bhavaha shashvata. It is that which lasts forever. Shashvata. What will last forever? That which does not suffer the transformation of decay. that which decays will someday perish. But Atma Shashvata, Shashvat Bhavaha, that which exists forever, meaning that it will never decay and therefore it is ever there. So, Apna Pakshiyate. See, some of you may have studied Vedanta, know these basic things about the body, that the body is subject to the sixfold modifications. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyate iti. It is born, therefore it is, otherwise until then you don't know that it's there or not. Then it grows, it matures, it declines and perishes. So this body undergoes the 6 stages. And what happens with us is, these stages of the body are habitually equated to the stages of Atma, and say, I am born, I am growing old, I am dying. Is birth is not a problem, for death also is not a problem, old age also is not a problem. Body is old, it's old. No? What's the problem? I am old, that's the problem. See, we are lumping this together. That is what the problem is. That's what Lord Krishna wants to separate. Nobody says there is no birth, or no death, and no old age, no decay is there. But don't connect it with I. It is only confined to the body. What do I say? I am born, I am old, I am dying. Then that oldness, the old age becomes problem when I am old. Otherwise, old age is not a problem. Death is not a problem if not connected to I. I will be dead or I am dying, that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Because I is changeless, is deathless, and upon deathless I superimpose the idea of death, and therefore there is a resistance, naturally it is something wrong. I can't accept it. I have no problem accepting death. I have problem accepting death of Atma. Understand this. No problem accepting old age. Accepting old age of Atma is a problem. I don't want to be old. I don't want to die. That's a natural urge in everybody. And that's why when the prospect of death comes, I become very sad. That's why Lord Krishna says, death is there, but you do not die. Don't worry. Where is the death? In the body there is death. You are not the body. Old age is there. You are not old. So what Swami used to say, after all, the body, the wrinkles come. So what's the big deal about it? That also is something that shows your accomplishment. You earned these wrinkles, he says, Here I look at the wrinkles, everybody becomes so sad at the wrinkles on my face. Another looking at it, you earned these wrinkles. That shows you've gone through so many years of experience and so many years of whatever you did, you lived your life. With satisfaction of living life, then you know that it's so many years of living satisfactory life of contribution. So old age need not become a problem. It shows you've done so much good. You're not done by Ishvara's grace and you became instrumental. So therefore, that all these wrinkles give you the message of what this instrument has been, how this body has been instrument in doing this. You can derive satisfaction out of that. Just a matter of perception, is it not so? That's all that counts, just perception, that's all that is our life. Happy and unhappiness. Happiness also is from a perception, unhappiness also is from a perception. I am dying, all unhappiness. I am born, all unhappiness. I am young, that is also unhappiness. The moment you join something, I am, that's it. No, it's good to be young. Yeah, but you know very well that you're not going to remain young forever. You see people, getting old. And even when you declare, why do you have to say you're young? Because inside you know that someday I will not be young. Why do you claim? And they used to say the joke that when you celebrate a woman's birthday, how old are you? 20. Next year, 21. Third year, 21. 20. That's it. Even 21 may be too old. It means only 16 and 16 and 16. If that gives you satisfaction, certainly derive that satisfaction. But we know that to claim that I am only 21 shows that there is an apprehension inside that in fact I am more than 21. And I am not happy. Otherwise I will be happy to own up what I am. Is it not so? I don't want to own up myself. Because I am getting old, Swamiji. So what should become really a cause of satisfaction, as we heard that day, we were celebrating 80th birthday of Swamiji. What can become also a cause of satisfaction? For most of us becomes what? As a cause of sadness. Just a perception. That's all Vedanta wants. That's all Vedanta contributes in our life. Change of perception. So in case you think that all right, Lord Krishna, I am not born but I will grow old, so no shashvata. You'll always be there, meaning that there is no apakshiyate, there is no apaksha, there is no decay. But I will grow. No. So purana, pura eva navaha. So meaning that it is fresh ever, Earlier also it was nava. Pura eva navaha is as new as before. As new as before means what? Is never become old, Doesn't grow. Pura eva navaha. Pura api nava eka rupaha nato adhuna nutanam kanchidavastha anubhavati. Pura eva, right? All from the beginning it's the same way. So, thus Lord Krishna, this is contemplation upon the self. These verses are meant for contemplation upon I. Everybody sees birth and death, and still Lord Krishna says that you are not born and we are not dying. That means that He asks us to create a distance between the body and ourselves. That yes, somewhere the birth is, somewhere the old age is, somewhere the death is, but you are the witness of the body. How do you know that you are young? That means young is something that you are aware of. I am 31 years old, but I am aware of that. I am aware of the body. Aware must be different from the object of awareness. Something very simple. And that problem we don't have when it comes to tables and chairs. That they are objects of my awareness and I am subject, they are object, and therefore I am very clear that I am not table and I am not chair. I am not a monkey, I am not a donkey, I am not a mosquito. Because that subject-object distinction is very clear. And they don't cause any problems. The tree falls down, doesn't cause any problem to me, and I've fallen down, okay. That's all nature. So when things happen out there, which I know I am different from, then I am much more objective. There is objectivity about them, and then there is no sadness. Then you do what is needed to be done. In objectivity, sadness is not there. Concern may be there, action may be there. You do what all is to be done, that's fine. I am not the body doesn't mean that I ignore the body and neglect it. That's also not the point. You can take care of the body, be kind to the body. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. All right, but the Atma is in the body, you say, I am not the body, all right. But when the body is killed, then will Atma be killed or not? Like a woman is pregnant, for example, if a woman is killed, then that embryo also will die. Similarly, if Atma is in the body, then when the body is killed, will not Atma be killed? Will it not? Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Next Lord Krishna says, sharire hanyamane na hanyate. When the body is killed, Atma is not killed. So what's the relation of Atma with the body? Is the body container, Atma contained? Then when the container gets affected, contained will get affected also. What's the relation? That is similar to, again, the pot. What's the relationship between Atma and body? Is what? I'm holding the pot in front of you. So, why do you think I'm holding this? What's the relationship between body and Atma? That between pot and clay. Or better than that, pot and space. Pot and space. The relationship between the body and the self is similar to the relationship between the pot and the space. You can destroy the pot, will it destroy the space? No. Similarly, the body suffers destruction, but the consciousness is untouched. So it's not container-contained relationship. It's not that space is contained in the pot, although it creates a notion in our mind that there is space within the pot. So we use the expression pot space. What is pot space? Space that is circumscribed by or confined within the pot is called pot space. But understand that there is no such entity as pot space. What is pot space? Space within the pot. Is there a space within the pot? Can the pot really contain the space? Or is it pot within the space or space within pot? Is pot within space or space within pot? Can you say that 10 times? Is not space within pot, is really pot. But still it's amazing how the very existence or presence of the pot managed to create in our mind a notion that the space is within the pot. Is it not amazing? Most amazing. Automatically we think that the space is within the pot. So when a pot moves in the space, we think that the space also moves along with that. Is it not so? When the pot moves, doesn't the pot space also move from one place to the other? Does it or not? Space is motionless. Where will it go, poor thing? It's everywhere. Something can go from one place to the other where it is not, but pot is simultaneously everywhere. It's all pervasive. It can't cannot move. But still, how the pot manages to create in us a notion of pot space. And so also the body manages to create in us a notion that Atma is within the body. So, and I point out to myself, I always said this, that's just a habit that, because I know that I'm confined only to the body. I don't exist outside the body. This is my conclusion on account of taking the body to be myself. In fact, it's not that consciousness is within the body, it's body that is within consciousness. And therefore, just as when the pot is broken, the space doesn't get broken because pot is within the space, and so also when the body is broken, or body, hanyate means hurt also. Killed, hurt, changing, all the things happening in the little body do not in any way affect the Atma or the consciousness. These two mantras Lord Krishna quoted from Kathopanishad. Shankaracharya says here, why is it so? To validate what Lord Krishna says himself. Just a technical point, that Bhagavad Gita, even though it is highly regarded text, is as well regarded as an Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita, Upanishatsu. But it is still a Smriti. It is not part of Veda. Meaning that a Smriti does not enjoy the same authority as Shruti of the Veda. Therefore you find that Smriti has to validate what it says by quoting from the Shruti. So what Lord Krishna said earlier is validated by quoting these two mantras that, look Arjuna, what I said is not something that is figment of my imagination. This is what the Upanishad teaches, and that's what I am unfolding to you. That's one way of interpreting why Lord Krishna quotes mantras from the Upanishads. Other one is because that's how he verbatim quotes them. So all those texts, even in Upanishad, all that classification, called Mantra Upanishad and Brahmana Upanishad, where mantra is more valid than Brahmana, mantra is more authentic than Brahmana. Brahmana is nothing but an explanation of mantra. And therefore, a Brahmana Upanishad, such as Taittiriya Upanishad, keeps on quoting mantra to validate what it says. That is just for your information. So, that's one way of looking at why Lord Krishna quotes these two mantras from the Katha Upanishad. Okay, we'll take a break here and we'll continue after coffee break. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us recite the verse 19 and 20. Ya enam veti hantaram Yaschainam manyate hatam Ubhau tau na vijanitaha Nayam hanti na hanyate Najayate mriyate va kadachita Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. So in this verse that we just recited, all the vikriyas or change or transformation is negated in Atma. Najayate, self is not born. Namriyate, it does not die. Shashvataha, it does not suffer from degeneration. Purana does not grow old. Meaning that there are no changes or modifications or transformation in the Atma. That means changes, of course, we see, they all take place in the body. And body also includes the mind. All changes do take place in the body, mind, sense, complex. Constantly the changes take place. But all these, and changes are also very, if you look at the changes taking place in their body, how cells are constantly changing, how the blood is constantly flowing, how the air is, moving up and down, how the thoughts are, it's the crazy kind of changes are taking place constantly. Upadrishtanamanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara. Upadrishta. What is the state of the self? That which is in proximity to all of this and simply watches, blesses all of this. So all changes take place in the intellect, in the mind, in the emotions, in the sense organs, in the body. Change is constant. It is the nature to change. Because that is called prakriti or the matter, and it is the nature of matter to change. Which is fine, which is good. What should change, should change. And what should not change, should not change. And doesn't. What can change alone changes, and what cannot change does not change. The only problem is that we are imputing a superimposing change where it is not in Atma and then feeling unhappy about it. So, sarv prakara vikriya rahita atma iti vakyartha. The point is that what is the purpose of this statement is that the self is free from every kind of transformation, every kind of modification, every kind of change. Atma, the consciousness, is changeless. And therefore, it neither kills, is nor killed. That's how it is connected with the previous verse. So now this subject matter is concluded by Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna said, one who looks upon the Atma as a killer and the other one who looks upon Atma as killed, both of them do not know. Why do you say that? Nayam hanti nahanyate, because Atma neither kills nor is killed. For that the reasoning was given. How come Atma does not kill? How come Atma is not killed? Because Atma, the self, is free from every change, every modification, is changeless. Because, as we said earlier, to perform an action calls for change. To become the object of an action also calls for change. Atma is changeless, however, it is not equipped either to perform action or to become the object of action. So the reasoning was given in that second verse. The Upasamhara conclusion is given now in the verse number 21. Other way of looking at it is that the verse number 20 told us how Atma is not killed, and this verse tells us how Atma does not kill. Nayam hanti na hanyate. Atma cannot be killed because there is no birth, there is no change. Does not kill. So that is another way of looking at it, that this verse explains how Atma does not kill. Verse 28 explains how Atma is not killed, and verse 21 explains how Atma does not kill. Because verse 19 told us Atma neither kills nor is killed. Why? The reasons were explained in the verses 19 and 20. So now the conclusion of the topic is in verse 21. All of this will be expanded vastly in the Bhagavad Gita and subsequent chapters, by the way. In subsequent chapters also, this idea of the self being actionless will be brought up again and again. So it doesn't end here. However, we got a glimpse of what it is, but later on Lord Krishna also will explain it in more detail. So let us read verse 21. Veda vinashinam nityam ya enamajam avyayam katham sapurushav partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Veda, one who knows, this Veda is a verb. When Veda is a noun, that means Veda. But here Veda is a verb, which is one who knows. What does he know? Avinashanam, Nityam, Ajam, Avyayam, Enam. One who knows the Atma, the self means oneself. One who knows as to who am I. So this is the perception about the self of a wise person. So what is the outcome of the knowledge of the self which was described in the earlier verses? One who knows that Atma does not kill, and Atma, I do not kill, and I do not get killed, I do not change, I neither grow nor do I decay. In this manner, one who knows oneself, what is the outcome of that knowledge? Veda avinashanam nityameram ajam avyayam. So what Lord Krishna said in the earlier verses alone is being stated here. So one who knows avinashanam, indestructible. Vinasha means destruction. Vinashi, that which is destructible. Avinashi, indestructible. One who knows oneself as indestructible. Why is it so? Nityam, because I am Nityam, I am eternal. Ajam, why? Because I am unborn. Avyayam, because I am changeless, free from any change or modification of growth and decay. Same thing essentially that was described in the previous verse. So one who knows oneself as described in the previous verse, Ajo Nityaha, that I am birthless. Nityaha, I am deathless. I am changeless, free from growth, free from decay, ever the same. I mean, that would be very boring. Is it not ever the same? Change is the spice of life, they say. Atma doesn't change. But change represents restlessness. There is something that in fact impels this world to change. Change is a result of some kind of a compulsion or some kind of an impelling. Because this thing is not quite content or satisfied with the way it is. When something is not happy or satisfied with the way it is, then there is an impulse to become different so that I can become satisfied. If I am not happy with myself as I am, there is an impulse to change, to become something else so that I'll be happy. In my perception, let us say that I am not a wealthy person and I attribute my reason for unhappiness to lack of wealth. I want to change, become wealthy, so then I'll be happy. All change is restlessness, which arises from a sense of incompleteness, inadequacy. And so things is changing in order ultimately to become adequate. Ultimately to become free from the need to change. Just as the river is constantly running, not to perpetuate the running, ultimately to meet with the ocean where its running, its change, all of that comes to a conclusion. But matter is changing constantly. Because matter is incomplete by nature and therefore keeps on changing and changing and changing. So understand that change is not the spice of life. All change ultimately is meant for becoming free from change. All desires are ultimately meant to become free from desire because desire is a sign of restlessness, in the inadequacy, in the dissatisfaction. So when you say Atma is changeless, that shows that it is adequate, it is totally satisfied, content, complete as it is. Only that which is complete, in that alone there cannot be change because incomplete always wants to change and there is no impulse to change because Atma is complete and whole by nature. So when it is changeless, it means also whole and complete, sufficient as it is. Meaning that the one who knows the self as changeless knows also one as what? As complete, as whole. Then only we can enjoy what is. When there is no need to change, then only we can enjoy what is. We cannot enjoy what is when the mind is preoccupied with doing something, changing something, becoming something else. Because I am looking forward to becoming something else, then I will be happy. Change shows dissatisfaction with the present. And therefore, an impulse in me to change also only displays dissatisfaction with the present. Changeless means I am comfortable with the present. I am comfortable with myself. I am happy with what is. Existence can be enjoyed when the mind becomes completely free from all restlessness and all need to change. Tam yogamita manyante sthiram indriya dharanam. That's how that state is called yoga. Where there is freedom from any kind of change, any impulsion, any compulsion. That's called samadhi. Can be simply understood as freedom from all compulsion, all impulsion, all need to change. So when it said Atma is changeless, it means free from all need. That it is whole and complete as it is. Its very existence, its very presence. And that is where the joy is. Joy is in the present. Because present is no dimension. As our Swami used to point out, how long is the present? What do you call present? Is it 1 year long? 6 months long? 24 hours long? 1 hour long? Because in 1 hour also there was and there will be. Present means, what is present? That is free from what was and what will be. That's called present. Even 1 minute also has a past and future. 1 second also has past and future. Even a millisecond, even a nanosecond, whatever, slightest thing also has some past and, isn't it? Present can only be dimensionless, that's all. And so dimensionless, present, changeless. And dimensionless means boundless. That means whole, complete. That's what the self is. That's what you are. That's what I am. Veda, one knows oneself. There is no impulse to change, there is no impulse to do anything. It's not that he is not doing anything. There is no need to do. He has become free from all need to do something. Things may take place at his body, all right, but then his actions also are not prompted by need to do something. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjitaha. Lord Krishna will describe a person like this later on, that there is no need, because There is total contentment with what is. Total contentment with what I am and total contentment with what is. Wherever it is, whatever it is, a total contentment. Purnameva avasishyate. Because what is manifestation of Purna or wholeness. If you don't define what Purna is, then what is this Purna? We have a definition of what whole, something very vast. We always picture of what is whole, what is beautiful, what is good. We have pictures of those things. This can be called beautiful, that is not beautiful, this is good, that is not good. Fine. But ultimately someday we have to grow out of that business because what is good. What is beautiful, that's what Vedanta teaches. What is good? What is beautiful? What is whole? What is complete? Swami, these things look so ugly. What is it? What is it that you call ugly? Some name and form. What is the name and form? What is a pot? It's clay. What is clay? It is earth. It's molecule, atom. What is it? Existence. So existence is okay, let me take a form. Took the form of a pot. Take a form. Bahusyam prajaya. So existence is may become many. So became wall, become this, that and what not, We have our own problem with the pot. Why is pot like this and why is it not like that? But then what counts is. In anything what counts is. That's what counts. Other things are incidental. Because in this one, what counts is gold. Its name and form is incidental. Anyway, I think we are getting distracted, but I think when the idea came here that Avinash is changeless, it's a very, very beautiful thing. Changelessness is not boring. Changelessness is the culmination of all change, where change represents some kind of a restlessness, inadequacy, and the idea of change is to become free from that inadequacy. So changelessness shows total adequacy. With I, with what is, because what is I and what, and therefore can you imagine the wise person? Everything is perfect. Purnameva avasishyate. Somebody insulted him, perfect. Somebody honored him, perfect. He succeeded, perfect. Failed, perfect. Got, perfect. Lost, perfect. Gain, perfect. Victory, perfect. Defeat, perfect. How can you say that, Swamiji? When you realize that perfect alone comes as victory, and perfect alone comes as defeat, and perfect alone comes as success, and perfect alone comes as failure. They are just names and forms, as costumes that one perfect, manifests itself to be. So as long as we see all names and forms or costumes, then everything is, we react to that. But when you realize what is in that costume, is only Purnameva avasishyate. What is Purnam? Then there's no need to change. No need to act. That's why a wise person doesn't do anything. Not that he's inactive, he's incapable of doing things. Become free from need to do things. All this is there, and long discussions are there which we're not going into. But this is an important point that Adi Shankaracharya makes. He need not make it before us, but he makes it before people. They're called Mimamsakas, who are only committed to the idea that there cannot be life without action. You have to be dynamic, you have to be active, you have to produce, you have to contribute. You are alive as long as you contribute, and therefore you must contribute as long as you are alive. Otherwise you are useless. If you stop this process of contribution, you are committing a sin. You have to pay for the consequences. This is their understanding of life. What is life meant for? For action. What for action? To contribute. And therefore, yavat jivam agnihotram jihoti. Person should perform agnihotra, meaning perform his duty as long as the person is alive. Only when you become incapable, then you will be granted. All right. released from their responsibility or obligation. Otherwise you're obliged. One way of looking at life, this is what our great Mimamsakas say. Studying the Vedas, they came to this conclusion that this is what Veda teaches, that you are always obliged to do something. Because you are receiving obligation all the time, and therefore you are obliged to do something as long as you are alive. What happens is then that you must never perform a duty. You cannot cop out of a duty in any excuse. Now that doesn't go well with this Vedantin who says there is something called sannyasa. Now this sannyasa business doesn't come with Mimamsakas. What is sannyasa? Renunciation of duties. Says what? So one view is that life is meant for performing duties. Vedanta accepts it. Vedanta says that understand that performance of duty is to become free from duty. That all action is meant for becoming free from action, not perpetual action. So the action shows an inner incompleteness, and therefore by action you cannot create completeness. That means you always remain incomplete. Action is not meant for perpetuating action, it is meant for becoming free from action. And therefore, a stage can come when a person becomes free from need to perform action. There is something that educating the Mimamsaka, that this is what Veda teaches also. That's what Upanishad teaches us. Karma Kanda teaches you should do this, that. Yes, true. What does Upanishad teach? Upanishad teaches that all that was taught in the earlier section of Karma Kanda is meant ultimately to become free, not free from action, free from need to perform action. As far as action, body will do what it does. We have no problem with action as such. Action is neither the sign of bondage or freedom. It is what motivates the action that shows whether there is freedom or bondage. And if I perform an action with a need, well, that need is bondage. Action is not bondage or freedom. Just because somebody is acting and doing things, that's not the criterion to decide that person is free or bound. No. That's what they will decide. We don't decide. So action is not the indication. It is what motivates the action. Comes out of need, that shows inadequacy. That shows in ignorance. But they don't know ignorance. They think Atma is incomplete. And therefore Atma needs to do things. By doing that, you pile up all your punya karma, and so you go to heaven, and then you get happiness. This is their view. Our Swamiji always laughs at all these people, this is a tourism business, etc. But this is exactly what is there. That's what Vedas are. The whole Karma Kanda, that meaning all sampradayas have up to that point. They have not gone to Upanishad. All the sampradayas and religions that talk about paradise and heaven, that's what we talk about. Very eloquently. What is Upanishad? Growing out of that also. That any kind of happiness that you achieve in paradise or anywhere, Brahma Loka, in fact the lokas that we describe are very elevated. It's bhuhu, bhuva, suha, maha, jana, tava, satyam. That's all increasing levels of happiness, multiplied by 10, 100 and millions and millions. So meaning that happiness that you can gain in Brahma Loka is human happiness multiplied 10 raised to 27. So you can imagine what it must be. You can't even imagine. But even that is not enough, Vedanta says. You must have developed vairagya even from that, because that is acquired happiness. What is acquired will go away. What is acquired can never give you satisfaction, because that is not you. It's coming from somewhere else. Only you can give yourself satisfaction, that you are happiness. That doesn't come from there, it comes from you. See, very basic difference in the viewpoint of how to interpret Vedas. So Mimamsakas have one interpretation on what the Vedas are teaching, and Vedantin has a different interpretation. So much discussion comes here anyway, but then we are not going to bother you with all those discussions. But still, the thing is that action ultimately is meant for becoming free from action. That one can become free from the need of action. That is possible, that alone is called freedom. As long as need remains, you are bound. Because need itself is a manifestation of bondage. If there is any need within yourself, that means you are not free. Because then you are dependent upon what will fulfill your need. Is it not so? When I need something, then you who fulfills my need, I depend upon you. How can I be free? How can a needy person be free? Because he is needy and therefore he is at the mercy of the one who will fulfill his need. You know, they are devatas, so what? Even devatas fulfill my need still. So Upanishad very clearly says, Nasave, Sana, Nasaveda. Anyosau, Anyohasmi iti, Nasaveda. One who worships Devata, Devata is different, I am different. He showers his grace upon me, I am recipient of grace. This is all ignorance. Sometime, not from the day one, when you come to that maturity then. Meaning that this is not dismissing all that we are doing here, but all of this is meant ultimately to grow out of that. So all the rituals and everything is wonderful, but all of them are like the world pole. And therefore, the pole is meant to ultimately grow out of that pole, to raise you to that level so you can drop it. So karma is wonderful, provided perform in a certain way. Same karma that you are performing for achievement of heaven, he says, give up that idea of heaven. Perform karma not to acquire again some other attachments and aversions and stuff like that. Perform karma to give up attachment and aversion. So don't make karma as a means of begging something. Make karma as a means of giving something. You become a giver. So we perform any action, please give me this. So I always have in my agenda. I perform this action, this is what I will get. I perform that action, this is what I will get. It's all begging business. Give it up. Perform action as a giver. What do I have to give? You start giving, then you will know what you have. You have plenty of kindness within you, you have plenty of generosity, you have plenty of compassion, plenty. Money is not the only thing you give those things. So that's how Vedanta changed the whole idea of karma. Formerly, karma always was a means of achieving something. According to Mimamsaka, who is qualified to perform karma? Arthi, Samartha, Vidwan, etc. Arthi means one who is desirous of achieving the outcome of the action. You are qualified to perform action provided you are interested in what the action is going to bring you. I am not interested, you are not qualified to perform that action. Meaning that when you perform an action, it brings about a certain result. And who can perform action? Only one who is interested in the result. How can there be motivation to perform action when there is no interest in the result? The interest in the result is the first requirement for performing action. Samartha. Second, you must have resources to perform the action. Vidwan, you should know how to perform action. And you should not possess something which disqualifies you to perform action. So this is their principle. Vedanta says, no. You are qualified to perform action not because you are interested in the result. You are equally qualified if you are not interested in the result. So a complete different turn to what the Mimamsakas are teaching. So we are not, this discussion may not be very relevant to us because we don't have that background. So when Shankaracharya has long discussions, what is he talking? Why is he doing this? But he's targeting those fellows who are there in his time. And he has an audience that is influenced by them, because he is an audience that actually is oriented by those people. So you have to address their audience and communicate to them what they need. So if you communicate all this stuff to you, perhaps it will be useless perhaps because it's not relevant. So all the time our Swami will come around, Christianity, but that's relevant because that's the background with which people are coming. So whatever the current situation is there, that's what a teacher addresses. Those days the current situation was like this, that's why the teacher addresses those things. These days it may not be relevant to us, and therefore it's quite possible that some of the discussion that appear in Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads and this and that and all that may not be relevant to us. You can either skip them if you want, or you can study them for your intellectual clarity, of course. But this is where the basic difference is. That what is complete is not to be attained in Swarga. Mimamsaka says, what's the point in learning about Atma? You are there, so what's the big deal? That you are heart, okay. You are lung, okay. And you are Atma. They say, what's the point in learning about something that is already existing? You must only learn about something that you do not know. Then that will motivate you to perform. Then say, oh, then I want to have it, I want to experience it. Then that will motivate you to perform an action. And therefore, knowledge of something that you do not know is a real knowledge. What's the use of knowledge of something that is already there? Vedanta says knowledge of something that is already there is very important. Atma is already there. Ishvara is already, Brahman is already there. So we address, Vedanta addresses knowledge of what is already there. Mimamsaka talks about knowledge of what is not there. And Vedanta talks about knowledge of what is. So they talk of knowledge, all that, but knowledge is of different kinds, Knowledge of what is not, because then that's, oh, Switzerland, wow, I want to go there. So that's called knowledge, which prompts you or motivates you to do something. That's called knowledge. For Vedanta, then what is knowledge? That brings a freedom from need to act. So completely opposite. For Vedanta, then what is knowledge? Oh, I'm complete. There's no need to do anything. So what kind of life is that where there is no need to do anything? They think that that is life. So there are very differing viewpoints, on what actually a human being is seeking. So Lord Veda Vinashinam, one who knows self is Avinashi, indestructible, changeless. What's exciting about that? Excitements are all meant for freedom from excitement. So this is called Shantarasa, because the Bhaktas and Vedantis also differ again. What the Bhakti is seeking is, the happiness, which is coming in the waves. These Vedantis, fellow, you don't know. Yes, of course. The joy that you have, the joy that there is in the Rasa Krida when Lord Krishna has, that you can imagine that joy, that's like a fountain from your heart. That's called happiness. Vedanta's happiness is complete peace, is happiness. Sounds very boring, he says, no, it is not. So there is a rasa called Shanta rasa, which is culmination of all the rasas actually in the literature also. So Vedanta talks about Shanta rasa and Bhakti talks about the, Ullasa, talks about the waves, fountain of rasa. They want to get lost. Vedanta doesn't want to get lost. You remain aware, you don't get lost. Because, why do you want to get lost? Because you want to escape from what is? No, what is beautiful. What is complete. You don't have to escape at all. Be aware. That's how the sadhana, means sadhana, etc. also, they are different. They don't have to fight one with the other. They understand one another. Then we know what is, who is coming from. Vedantis always fight with bhaktas and they ask, what is this? It's just lack of understanding of each other, that's all. When you understand where they're coming from, what they want, fine. Then for what they want, what they're doing is the right thing. For what you want, what you're doing is the right thing. You decide what you want. You want this. If you don't want this, then don't waste your time. This is Shantarasa. This is not something that, when the moksha means that joy is, it's complete peace, total silence, changelessness. So Vedanta calls that as moksha, freedom. Freedom, every kind of a change or need. Because that is the reality of life. Change is not the reality of life. Change presupposes always something that does not change. There cannot be change unless there is something that sustains the change which itself does not change. A train cannot run on the tracks that are running. A train can run only on the tracks that do not run. A wheel also turns around from the center axis which doesn't turn. So change requires something that sustains the change which does not change. And so change, sarvam kshanikam, sarvam shunyam dukkham, that is not the reality. So Buddha says sarvam kshanikam, everything is momentary. Change is the reality of life. Cannot be reality of life. Vedanta then says, how do you know change? How do you know something? You can only know change only when there is a reference of something that does not change. Alright, so anyway, so Veda vinashanam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam. So one who knows enam, the self, in this manner. So this is just reiterating what I said earlier. In the first line, doesn't tell anything new. First line only reiterates, so repeats, not repeats, it's called anuvada, it reiterates, or it's not even anuvada, it is upasamhara. It's conclusion of the proposition that was made in the earlier verse. Looks like repetition, but we should know what is repetition and what is what. That's with upasamhara. In upasamhara means when you conclude also, then you conclude with what which you started with. So then, what is the outcome of this knowledge? In second line, Lord Krishna says, Katham sa purushah partha kam ghatayati hantikam saha purushaha. That person alone is qualified to be called Purusha. So Purnatva, here the word Purusha, the primary meaning of the word Purusha applies here. What is the meaning of the word Purusha? Purnatvat Purusha. So one that is Purna, one that is complete or whole is called Purusha. And consciousness satisfies that qualification. Purusha means Purna, complete, whole, consciousness. The one who knows oneself as Purusha, Sapurusha. Because that alone is birthless, deathless, changeless. Kam ghatayati hantikam. So there are two katham and kam. Katham, kam is what case? What happened to the Sanskrit scholars is missing here. Kam is which case? Dvitiya, yes, of Kim. So, kam is object, whom. Katham, how. So, kam hanti, whom can he kill? Katham hanti, how can he kill? So, Lord Krishna says, one who knows the self in this manner, that I am birthless, I am changeless, I have no growth, no decay, I am changeless, I am complete in myself. The boundless completeness I am. Understand that there has to be also non-dual. That dimension also has to be added here. Because a complete thing nothing can be apart. It has to include everything. This truth that is complete has to be all-inclusive. It cannot exclude something. When you exclude something, then it becomes incomplete. So who are you and who am I? You and I are that which includes everything. We are so vast that all is included. Nothing is excluded. Ishāvasa idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Whatever there is in this universe, all of this is Ishvara. All of that is the self. Nothing stands apart from the self. Nothing is in contrast to the self. Meaning that then that alone can be true, that is non-dual. So where is somebody to kill anyway? Who will you kill? For killing somebody you require somebody other than you, is it not so? All there is you. Who are you going to kill? And how will you kill? Because how also requires some movement. How can there be movement in what is limitless also? Katham sa purusha partha kam ghādayati hanti kam. Whom will he kill and how will he kill? So there are two persons involved here. Arjuna has problem at both the levels. One is Arjuna, other is Lord Krishna. Both are, Lord Krishna is not a killer but an accomplice in killing, I tell you. Because he says, Arjuna, you perform your duty and therefore you fight your battle. That means he is instigating. Therefore, if Arjuna becomes a sinner of killing, then Lord Krishna also will have to take his, share. He will also become, that means he has to protect himself also. That's why he includes himself here. Kam ghātayati. One who knows this. How can he kill? And how can he make someone ghātayati? So hanti means killing. Ghātayati, to make someone kill. This is preraka. It's causal. How can he kill? How can he cause someone to kill? So Arjuna is sort of is a situation where he is to kill, and Lord Krishna is causing him to kill. Is it not so? So Arjuna, Atma neither kills nor does it cause anybody to kill. Neither performs an action nor becomes a cause of performing action. Otherwise you may not do things, but you may keep on making other people do things. That can happen. After all these big mafias and all those bosses, they may not do things themselves. He just may, just by his presence and by his, I don't know how they conduct themselves, how they function. But But this fellow who killed is just a small fly. I don't think the police are going to satisfy with him. That is just a small fly. They'll trace things and go to this boss. And if somebody should get punishment, that fellow should get the punishment. All these poor trays are all small flies. Those who are instigating them, those who are, they are out of your reach, And you keep killing them and they keep producing, you keep killing them because the basic source is there. Anyway, that's all politics. But the thing is that, so, hanti and ghātayati. Who can kill and who can cause someone to kill. Meaning that there is no killing, nor there is causing to kill. Meaning there is no action, nor there is causing. Because causing also is an action. When I cause someone to do something, then also I am performing an action. When I don't speak, but when I do that, you say, this is causing someone to do. Even if I don't do all this stuff, then also, just look at like that, Some people need not do those. Depends, on your position. But sometimes simply by looking at this also, that person knows that I am supposed to do this. But there also action is involved. Even though physical action may not be involved, some mental action is involved there, which gets communicated to the person who is sensitive to the communication. That may not help us, that may not communicate anything to us perhaps, But the person, so causing also is an action. There is no action at any level. There is no action anywhere. What we see is all action. That is all mithya. You look at the action and examine what is it. So I think our class has gone on a different track, but anyway, so if you examine what action is, then they keep on telling us, everything is moving fast, and then galaxies are moving, and then stars are moving, and planets are moving, and atoms are moving, and molecules are moving, but ultimately all that movement results into what? That they will never find. Scientists will never find really the root of where the movement comes from, because they are not looking in the right place. If you look at the right place, where the movement comes from, he has to come back to himself. That's only when he will find out what is the source of everything. So scientist is doomed to failure for what he is searching for. In that sense, that the truth that he is searching for, he can never find, because he is finding it. 10th man can never find himself. He has to see that he is the 10th man. And that the science doesn't allow. That is no more science. He says, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in anything that I cannot prove. It's true. So that is science. Scientist cannot believe in God. He cannot. As a person he may believe, as a scientist he cannot. Because you can't demonstrate, you can't prove God. And so this mathematician Laplace wrote volumes and volumes describing the whole universe in countless equations. And went to Napoleon and showed him his work. This is what I have done. Napoleon was somebody, all right. He says, Monsieur, this is right, but I don't see any mention of God in here, he says. Napoleon says, I don't need God, he says. I don't need God to explain the universe. That's what the mathematician says. They don't need God to explain anything. They think they can explain everything by just the reasoning that is within the scope of their intellect. Meaning that anyway, that's another matter. The thing is that they already confined themselves. And that is the right way to do. That's the right way to do. Science is what it is. But then, as I say, action is what you see there. But what is the source of action? Source of action ultimately is self, which is actionless. So truth of action is not action. Actionlessness is the truth of the action. So in reality, there is no action. In reality. What is reality? Actionlessness is the reality. Action is an appearance. Oh, Vedanta says Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Actionlessness is Satyam, action is Mithya, is an appearance. Who appears? That actionless appears as though performing action. That's called creation. Bahusyam Praja, the actionless says, let me create. How do I create? I appear as I'm doing things. Sounds all strange, isn't it? But anyway, so, Katham sa Purusha Partha, kam ghatayati handikam. We are going to leave you today with all this kind of, stuff, and so, but hopefully our Swami will clear everything, when he comes next time. See, he's present today, so he knows what's going on here. And so, Saha Purusha, this wise person, Katham Hanti, Kam Hanti, who can he kill? How can he kill? Because there's no one to kill and there's no killing, both ways. Killing can take place when there is something called killing, action. And killing takes place when there is somebody to kill, to be killed. Bhishma, Drona are there not to be killed because they are Atma. Arjuna, your actions also are is not a nature of Atma. So this is conclusion of the topic. That Atma, or the self, is actionless, is neither an agent of action nor an object of action, is neither karta nor bhokta, There is no kartrutvam, no bhoktrutvam. So Lord Krishna also got distracted a little bit, In fact, Lord Krishna is talking about Atma, then came into who kills, because purpose of talking about Atma was only that. We don't talk about Atma for the sake of talking about Atma. It should, after all, apply to our life and solve our problems. Vedanta is meant to solve our problem. And what's the problem of sadness? That's the problem. Vedanta doesn't solve the problem how to produce, wheat and how to produce this and that. That problem Vedanta doesn't solve because a human being can solve that problem. Where other sources are available, Vedanta doesn't bother. Where you cannot solve it, that's where Vedanta comes. Nobody can solve problem of sadness. So Vedanta says that will solve for you. So that is Arjuna's problem. Arjuna doesn't have any other problem. Fighting battle is not his problem. What weapon to use is not his problem. Nothing. He doesn't have any problem. He knows what weapon is required, in what sense, at what time, how to use it. His problem is sadness. Once that is clear, then Arjuna will be fine. Then Lord Krishna need not even tell him to fight. He will do it. Karishye vachanam tava. Once all the obstacle of sadness went away from Arjuna, he said, yes, I now see where I should do this. That's the right thing to do. Oh, did I say I will not do? I'm sorry. So in that sense, Lord Krishna sort of, digressed a little bit in the second line. Katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Hey Partha, how can that person, the wise person, how can he kill and how can cause somebody to kill? How can he perform action? Meaning there is no action in the self. And so wise person also doesn't perform any action. And therefore, don't ask him to perform action. Don't think that is his duty. He has no more duty left. That's the whole idea here. That all duties are meant ultimately to become free from the duty because duty is a bondage. What is duty? I have to do something. In duty there is a compulsion. Swamiji, what can I do? I can't. No, I have to take care of so and so. What, I have to do this. And you please do that. That is called duty. But there is a compulsion there. Something within me compels, so I feel guilty. Oh, Swami, I left them home. I should not have done it. What? So every 5 minutes I keep on checking. So, duty also is a sign of bondage, as far as Vedanta is concerned. So, Mimamsaka says duty is what Veda teaches. Vedanta says duty is a sign of bondage. What is duty? A compulsion. I have to do this. Swami, this I have to do. Wait a minute. Next morning, this appointment, that appointment, this has to come, that has to come. Now, milkman will come, this man will come, that fellow will come, this will come. I have to do things, which is right. But, and Mimamsaka said, that is life, he says, This is life, and that's what you should do. You are born for that purpose. So what is the purpose of human birth? To do things. That's what they say. Vedanta says no. It's to become free from that. Duties are meant to make you free from duties. How long there is duty? As long as there is sense of doership, there is duty. You can't escape it. As long as I think that I'm a doer, so long that there is something to be done. When do I really become free from the compulsion of duty? When I realize that I'm not a doer. I'm actionless self. Then there is freedom from duty. What is duty? Kartavya. In Sanskrit, kartavya. Tavya means something to be done. Kartavya, that which has to be done. Meaning human being has to do things. If I do not do that, then I incur sin. Akarane pratyavaya. I am supposed to do things, and if I don't do them, I am committing a sin. So Mimamsaka says that to When you do something you should not do, that is a sin. But when you fail to do something that you do, that is also a sin. Meaning every situation expects you to respond in a certain way. If you don't do that, I didn't do anything, that is sin. Because you're supposed to do. Because you did not do that, that's why all these things happen. And therefore, you have to do. As long as there is notion of doership, so long duty or kartavya is there. I cannot say that I am a doer and I will not do. You don't have the freedom. If you take that liberty, then that you are incurring sin. Remember that. Who doesn't have duty? Who knows actionless I am. Who recognizes all the action as its source in actionlessness. One who knows that has become now free from action. There is nothing to do and free from need to perform action. Meaning that Shankaracharya says that look, one who has this knowledge, he doesn't perform action and therefore he has no duty to perform anymore. So Mimamsakas are told that look, all the duties are prescribed or enjoined by the Vedas for making a human being free from the need to perform the duty. And that doesn't happen by keep on doing duty, that happens by knowing. So meaning performance of duties ultimately should lead us to a desire for knowledge, and when you realize that actionless you are, only then you are really free from the compulsion of duty. So who can take sannyasa ideally? One who has a self-knowledge alone can ideally take sannyasa, ideally, because he knows I am actionless. But secondarily, one who wants that knowledge also is permitted to take sannyasa. One who is seeking knowledge of actionless self also is permitted, so a mumuksha also is permitted to take sannyasa. That's a lifestyle. He's not a real sannyasi. He's sannyasi in lifestyle. He doesn't do things. He has renounced doing things. So they can do other things, that's all. So that sannyasa is only change of activity. Instead of performing duty in one form, he is now performing action in another way, like shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. He is not actionless as yet. His duties have changed. He should now be committed to pursuit of knowledge. It can't be that you take sannyasa and then you sit there and not do anything. Then you are supposed to then pursue knowledge. Shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. That is expected out of you. That's why society supports you. Who gives you bhiksha is not for free. It's nice. Udara nimittam bhaukruta vesha. So Shankaracharya comments in Bhajagovindam. Look at these fellows who have assumed all these clothes because very convenient. Because Indian society supports this cloth and wherever you go, they'll be happy to feed you. No, that's not the purpose. They save you all these efforts so that you have time. You know what how to cook and you know how to do things so that you have time available for what? Like why do you fast? It's for health reasons, but upvasa means fasting saves you time and energy so that time and energy available for doing worship, Ishvara's worship, upavasa. Sit in proximity to vasa with Ishvara. That's the purpose of upavasa. Here we have upavasa, I'm fasting. So what are you doing? Eating 15 fruits, I'm fasting. Or some South Indians say I'm fasting. He's not eating rice, that's all. Everything else. What kind of fasting is that? And the Gujaratis eat also fasting. There are 50, 11 kinds of things they eat. It's called fasting. It's a change of diet. That doesn't give rest to the stomach anyway. It is in fact, all that food is causing all gas and stuff like that. It's better anyway. But the thing is that there's a purpose. So yes, sannyasa taken as a lifestyle is a purpose so that you now have the leisure to do something different. That is pursuit of knowledge. It requires leisure of mind, and you can have leisure only when you are free from the demands of having to do this and that. So that is sannyasa, which is willfully taken. But real sannyasa that happens. Real sannyasa happens. When it happens? When the knowledge takes place. I am actionless self. Whether he is in dress of sannyasi or not, but he is real sannyasi. And that is sannyasi Lord Krishna talks about in Gita. It's called Vidvat sannyasa. Sannyasa by virtue of knowledge. There is no other sannyasi described in Gita, by the way, between you and me. This is only sannyasi described. Yes, Lord Krishna does talk about what you should do, the meditation, etc. And Shankaracharya says that requires a sannyasi. And so we derive. But otherwise, this is the real sannyasa. Katham sapurusha parsa. How can he kill? How can he make anybody kill? Meaning that he is free from need to do and he doesn't do anything. Karmanya vipravrittopi neva kinchit karoti saha. Lord Krishna says, even though he is doing action in every way, and from his own standpoint, he doesn't do anything. Like that actor who is begging as far as his spectacles are concerned, from his own standpoint, he does not beg. Is it not so? Begging and still not begging. An actor who is performing the role of a beggar is begging and still not begging. Begging from the standpoint of the spectators, not begging from his own standpoint. He is acting from his own standpoint. Because this begging is going to make him richer than what he is right. But anyway, so similarly, wise person appears to be acting, he is not doing anything from his own standpoint. And therefore, he is free from compulsion of the duty. Therefore, there is something called sannyasa. It's a hard, Vedanta has a hard time to prove something called sannyasa. It's very hard to find any statements which justify or validate sannyasa. Very little to find in Vedas, by the way, between you and me, that sannyasa, of course, and Shankaracharya is all gung-ho about sannyasa as a lifestyle and giving up, renouncing action. He has to find some sentence here and some sentence there and some sentence there, and that is his justification. Out of 100,000 verses of Veda, you may find 5 statements which talk about sannyasa. Anyway, but whether sannyasa is there in lifestyle or not, sannyasa is the ultimate goal of life in terms of discovering total freedom from action by discovering the fact that the self is actionless. One who knows how can he do anything or how can he cause anybody to do anything. So a second line, Lord Krishna described a wise person. Because he has an agenda in Bhagavad Gita. What is the agenda? Is to describe a sannyasi. Main agenda of Bhagavad Gita is sannyasa. Karma yoga is fine. What's the main agenda? Sannyasa. Sannyasa characterized by knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of Atma, who is sannyasi by nature. Atma, when you say actionless, means sannyasi by nature. Therefore, sannyasa is the main agenda of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna is teaching something very profound. He talks of karma and yuddha, etc. is all right, but that is not the main teaching. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. Brahma Vidya, and what is Brahman? Actionless self. Then, in next verse, he comes back to the main topic of describing Atma. As I say in second line of the previous verse, there is a sort of a digression from the main topic of describing Atma to the wise person, for which purpose the Atma is talked about. The one who has knowledge of the Atma becomes a sannyasi in a primary sense, becomes free in the primary sense. So this is where we will conclude. And from the next verse, the next class will take up that. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरि ॐ. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ॐ.